Just short of 12 years from when Qatar won the World Cup bid, the much-awaited FIFA Men's Tournament is finally here. This World Cup has had its fair share of controversy, with netizens coming down hard on the country for human rights violations. Despite the criticism, Qatar went all out for the opening ceremony, with a lavish half-hour show featuring Morgan Freeman and Jungkook, amongst others. Stay tuned as we look into Morgan Freeman's speech. First up, Morgan Freeman delivers a speech at the opening ceremony. Freeman joined Qatari YouTuber Al-Mufta on stage to give a message about unity, tolerance, and acceptance. The speech appeared to be lip-synched in his typical charismatic tones. The message of unity sounded almost ironic, since many pointed out Qatar's unimpressive human rights record. Freeman's co-star, Al-Mufta, is a twin brother born with caudal regression syndrome, a rare disorder that slows down the development of the lower spine. Many appreciated this gesture, which championed diversity and inclusion, fitting with the overarching theme of the ceremony. As part of his address to the world, Freeman talked about how what was uniting the world at that moment was so much greater than everything that was dividing us.
But in the deepest part of us, we must understand and appreciate the emotions that connect us all.
His speech was the opening segment of the event and was titled The Calling. Freeman pointed out that everyone was gathered in Doha city center as one big tribe. Next up, the controversy surrounding the tournament. Many criticized Morgan's message of unity and acceptance, correctly pointing out that the laws of Qatar don't seem to carry the same sentiments. Qatar is a relatively small country, home to about 3 million people, most of whom are migrant workers. Since Qatar won the bid for the Cup 12 years ago, it has spent more than $200 billion preparing for the tournament. 7 new stadiums were built, including the Al Bayt Stadium in Doha, which has an impressive capacity of 60,000 people. Recently, the country has been under intense scrutiny for mistreating the migrant workers who prepped the nation for the World Cup. According to some sources, the death toll is in the thousands. Besides this, Qatar has also come under fire for its criminalization of homosexuality. This is why barely any prominent Western leaders attended the opening ceremony. In his speech during the opening ceremony, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad, the Emir of Qatar, said that his country had worked hard to make this one of the most successful tournaments. He said they had invested for the good of all humanity, and he implored the crowd to put aside their differences as they united in their love for football. Morgan Freeman's opening segment with Al-Mufta was supposed to be the perfect image of inclusion and acceptance. The Qatari YouTuber also recited verses from the Quran to share the message of diversity and acceptance. Most of the world didn't fall for it though.
That is home. And when we call you here, we welcome you into our home.
Moving on, the ceremony. The opening ceremony of the 2022 FIFA Men's World Cup was a lavish half-hour event. Freeman and Al-Mufta were just the initial parts of the festivities. The crowd cheered enthusiastically when Korean star Jungkook took the stage, alongside Qatari singer Fahad Al-Kubasi, performing the single Dreamers, specifically produced for the tournament. However, the enormous cheers were reserved for the Middle Eastern and African leaders who watched from their luxury suites. The Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, received thunderous applause after he delivered a short speech in Arabic in which he welcomed the teams and wished them the best of luck. A welcome from FIFA President Gianni Infantino followed the speech. He spoke in Arabic, Spanish, and finally English as he welcomed everyone to the tournament. Qatar had been planning long and hard to plan this 7-act opening ceremony. This ceremony was one of the reasons why the World Cup was moved up a day in August. They wanted to give the show a more prominent viewing slot. This ceremony involved unprecedented levels of effort, and it was more than the usual scenario of someone singing before the opening game. The opening ceremony was meant to introduce Qatar to the world through its culture. The theme was bridging distances. As explained by creative director Ahmad Al-Bakr, the ceremony was meant to signify a gathering for all mankind, bridging their differences with respect and inclusion. The stellar ceremony was followed by the first match of the World Cup, as Qatar and Ecuador took the field in an intense game that ultimately led to victory for Ecuador. Up next, fan reactions to Morgan Freeman's speech. While many criticized Morgan Freeman for not backing out of the ceremony, others supported the Hollywood icon. The Shawshank Redemption star received a lot of love on social media. For some fans, the central message of unity, inclusion, and diversity hit home. Nigerian author Gimba Kakanda was one to appreciate the lesson. Taking to Twitter, the writer said that disability inclusion was the icing on the cake. He said he got goosebumps when Al-Mufta recited a verse about human diversity from the Quran right after Freeman appealed for the unity of all tribes. He ended by saying, "Take a bow, Qatar." Brand influencer Dr. King Winter also posted on social media that Morgan Freeman is the GOAT of Hollywood and is the actor everyone loves. African pop artist Fancy Gadam added that the actor's voice alone is worth $1 billion. Media identity Gary Smith pretty much summed it up when he tweeted that Morgan Freeman understood the assignment. The warm response on social media contrasted significantly with Morgan's cool reception in the Al Khor Desert. There were thousands of empty seats in the stadium as football fans boycotted the cup in light of the allegations of human rights abuses against the country. Many fans were confused about seeing Morgan Freeman at the opening ceremony in Qatar. Fans were quick to point out the sheer irony of the situation. 12 years ago, when the world was bidding for hosting rights to the 2022 World Cup, Morgan Freeman had been pushing for America to secure the bid. He was the face behind the United States' attempt to secure the 2022 bid. However, unfortunately, America and Australia both ultimately failed to secure the hosting rights. Amidst a wave of corruption scandals and bribes, FIFA awarded the tournament to Qatar. British-American broadcaster Roger Bennett pointed out the irony. Taking to Twitter, he posted a picture of Morgan Freeman in 2010 as he arrived in Zurich to make the final presentation for America's offer to host the Cup. He compared it with Morgan Freeman's performance in the opening ceremony 12 years later, saying that this was epic trolling at a global scale. Before we end this video, let's look at some other Morgan Freeman-related news. Many viewers of the opening ceremony noticed that the 85-year-old acting veteran was wearing a single beige-colored glove as he launched the controversial tournament. Many fans saw this glove for the first time, even though the actor's been wearing it since 2008. Stay tuned as we see the tragic reason Morgan Freeman wears the glove. First off, why does Morgan Freeman wear the glove? The glove is a compression glove that Freeman has been wearing on and off since paralyzing his left hand in a car crash 14 years ago. Doctors promised the actor that this injury would improve by 2011. Despite this, Freeman's left hand remains immobile to this date. So why does he wear the glove then? The accident caused a lot of nerve damage, and a compression glove comes in handy for Morgan as it allows his blood to keep flowing, and it is extremely important to keep the blood flow going. As Morgan said, it can swell up if you don't move your hand. We don't notice these things because an ordinary person moves their hand 1,000,000 times a day, but the smallest accident can humble you and make you realize how delicate the human body is. Let's talk about the crash. In 2008, Morgan Freeman was involved in a very serious car crash. His car left the Mississippi Highway and flipped several times before it landed in a ditch. If you ask us, he was lucky even to survive the crash. The fact that he got away with a paralyzed left hand and fibromyalgia seems to be a good deal in hindsight. Fibromyalgia is a chronic muscular condition, and Morgan Freeman is almost constantly in pain as he battles the condition, which stemmed from a broken shoulder he suffered in an accident. He was immediately taken to the hospital and underwent surgery, but his left hand had suffered irreversible nerve damage. Speaking to People in 2010, Freeman said his nerve damage still hadn't improved and he couldn't move his hand. Finally, addressing some rumors. Many fans thought Morgan Freeman had a prosthetic hand after they saw his opening segment at the lavish FIFA ceremony. However, that's not true. Freeman's hand was not amputated. Despite what many people said, the glove does not cover a prosthetic limb. Since 2008, there have been many instances where Freeman was seen without the compression garment. While Freeman often removes the glove for promotional photos and videos, he decided to keep it on for the World Cup opening ceremony. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think about Morgan Freeman's speech? Should he have backed out from his segment? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.